Welcome. I am going to introduce our speaker. Um, and T, like her name is Boo for to me. She's my boo. Tiara Flynn is a powerhouse business strategist, Air Force veteran, aka Batty, CEO who has spent more than a decade helping entrepreneurs transform their passion into profitable, sustainable businesses. As a majority owner of Sumnu Marketing, she has led major small business outreach initiatives, built marketing systems for hundreds of companies, and co-created the Some New Solutions Zone. The zone is so cool. An online membership guiding business owners through the full marketing process step by step. Blending her expertise in marketing, operations, and service based entrepreneurship, Tiara created the Doula Business Blueprint, a one of a kind education platform teaching doulas how to step into their CEO identity, build sustainable income, and structure their businesses for long term success. Her signature teaching style, clear, practical, and rooted in real business experience, has made her a sought after trainer, speaker, and mentor for small business owners across the country. Whether she's consulting startups or empowering birth workers, Tiara remains committed to one mission, helping purpose-driven entrepreneurs build, grow, and thrive. And that really, like, she owns Phenomenal Mama, her birth and postpartum doula practice. There's so much more. There's so much more, Tiara, but welcome. She's doing a 6-part series for us this year, every other month, to focus on business. So, T, with that, take it away.
Oh, thank you. Good evening, everybody. I was like, who wrote that? That sounds good. It's one of the better ones. I'm glad that there's so many new faces. Like I know I can't see everyone, but I was being nosy, clicking on participants, and a lot of the names don't look familiar to me. So it's nice to meet you all. And like Jen said, you can call me T if you want, but not Boo. Okay. I'm glad that you guys are here. I appreciate Jen giving me the time and the opportunity because, as she said before, this was one of the most requested through the many surveys that we've done through the co-op. I used to serve on the board for the co-op as well, and as the Southern Nevada president prior to Sheehan. And so I'm glad that Sheehan's taken over for me because sometimes I'd be doing too much. I feel like Jen did not read everything, thank God. Because then y'all would feel like I'm all over the place. So I'm going to share. I'm sharing, right, Jen? Screen. I, I think
You
so.
should
Yeah, I
be
hit
able
the.
to do it without permission.
There we
Yep.
go. I, there we go. I always say it doesn't matter. I'm an elder millennial. Jen's gonna laugh at that because she's like, girl, you're a baby. But it doesn't matter how long we've been on Zoom or on like Google, all these things since COVID, they always whip my butt. So mm, it's not letting me though. Or I'm being impatient. Okay. So as Jen said, in you can see, right? I can see. Can y'all see? Head shaking. Okay, cool. And I know it's evening time and there's dinner and there's children and all the things. I lock my kids out. You don't have to do that. But I am a very interactive, I'm a highly extroverted person. So I don't really like to talk at people. I like to interact through the chat, coming off of mute throughout. So just be prepared for that. But as Jen said, I have been a business owner now going on 14 years, which is crazy. And doula work is like my third career. I spent just shy of 10 years in the Air Force. And my dad actually started a marketing and outreach firm. And then I joined in halfway through my military career. And so I was just sharing with someone earlier, I've been able to, she was asking through our marketing firm, like what types of businesses specifically. And I was like, actually, it does not matter. We've helped dental offices, auto mechanic shops, all kinds of businesses because the foundational elements are the same. So when I got into doula work, this is something that I felt like had the passion behind it, had everything that everyone else is missing on the other side, but we didn't have the business foundation, right? I don't know about you guys, but I did probably, no, not probably, I'm going to count this time. I did 4 different doula trainings, and none of them went beyond 3 slides about business towards the end of their training. And so if you came across one where there was more than that, then you got really lucky. But I just feel like it was very rushed through and it was very just like afterthought. And so, like Jen mentioned in my introduction, halfway through my doula career, I was like, there needs to be something that's a little bit more than just like a workshop, a little bit more than a 1 hour or 2 hour or a couple of, days session that's talking to doulas about business. And so that's where the doula business blueprint came from. This is me leaning into my strengths a little bit more in this space and how I can help us just build as a workforce. It's really important to me. When I first joined the doula co-op, it was actually doula co-op of Reno. And I made them expand statewide. I don't care what they say. Because I really believe in collectives and collaboration and just collective building in community. So that's where the blueprint came from. That's a little bit about me, a little bit more about me, and then we'll get into this series. So as Jen, oh, I'm sorry. As she mentioned, it's every month. Do want to manage expectations that it's going to be very high level. We only have an hour, y'all. And so I just want to make sure that everyone's understanding that we're here. Everything's going to be introductory. And if you want to engage further, then I'll share information with you afterwards or at the end on how you can go deeper. So, with this first one, we're going to start with what I feel like is important for all businesses, which is the entrepreneurial mindset. This is not a unique shift that needs to happen just for doulas. This is actually something that all small business owners have to realize, they have to be intentional about, they have to work towards. There's a book. I'm going to throw out books. I'm going to throw out things that I feel like you should read. I'm going to throw out resources. So make sure that you're grabbing notes. And I know that it's being recorded, but that's just my style of teaching. So there's a book called The E-Myth Revisited. And it's one of the first ones that I read along my entrepreneurial journey because, like I said, I kind of came under the wing of my dad. And he would always say to me in the beginning days, like, you need to get out of employee mode and get in CEO mode, CEO mode, CEO mode. And I was sitting there struggling, like, I don't know how to do that. If there needs to be a janitor, it's me. If somebody needs to go and do outreach and table an event, it's me. If somebody needs to do this post-event report, it's me, even though we had a team of employees, because that's just how we approach things as entrepreneurs and as business owners, right? Especially small business owners. But there's actually three different business personalities that you need to challenge or channel, excuse me, and we'll get into that in a second. But first, I wanted to hear from you guys, and this is a judgment-free zone. It's just for awareness purposes. But in the chat, if you could drop one of the letters that feels most true for you right now, and what is your biggest challenge in business? And like I said, it's judgment free. You can drop it in the chat. You can put all of the above. Sheen's like right away. I know. You can say all of the above, and then we'll discuss as we get some answers rolling in. And the reason why I love this question is because some of them, as you're reading through them, you'll notice that some feel like this may be a personal challenge. Some may feel like this is a business challenge. Neither of them are bad. Like I said, it's a judgment-free zone. Chris said A and C. Oh, and D. What is D? I feel confident in my work, but unclear on growth. Gotcha. So for example, if you said like if you say often I'm feeling overwhelmed, that's not about structure. That's just about capacity. And that's something that I also stress a lot within the doula business blueprint, or even just talking to doulas if in any of you that are my friends on this call, or if you've interacted with me in this space, then you know I stress that a lot about capacity building and not doing things that you don't have to do or that you don't know how to do, right? And like I said, it's not unique to just us as doulas. All small business owners make this mistake, you guys. So it's not just doulas, but small business owners overall make the mistake of saying, I'm going to do my own bookkeeping. You know, you're not an accountant. So I would suggest figuring out a pathway where you can take that off of your plate. Um, I put was for, oh, um, you could take that off of your plate. Of course, as someone with a marketing background, I'm going to say hire a marketing person, or there are tons now. When I first started a business, when we first started our marketing firm, there weren't a lot of people focusing on small businesses. There were the large marketing and agency firms. And now today, you have those influencers, you have those young, brilliant people who are helping us as small business owners run our marketing. And so I'm gonna scroll through. I see a lot of C and D. Okay. C is I'm not sure how to structure my business. I like that. I feel overwhelmed or stretched too thin. A and D, C, A, A. Okay. I like it. And like I said, feeling overwhelmed is not about structure, it's about capacity. Struggling with pricing is sometimes a confidence issue. I went to a women's conference in 2018. So I didn't have my doula business yet. And one of the speakers was very blunt with us. Actually, she was a Marine, child, so they're very blunt, child. She was very blunt with us, and she said she does a lot of speaking engagements. That was her first time doing a women's conference. And she said, I've been sitting here for 2 days listening to women talk about how they feel, talk about empowerment. And she flat out told us, and I never forgot to this day, she said the men are not sitting around talking about how they feel. They're not talking about empowerment. They're talking about action. And we all know there's no men here. We're smarter than them. And so there should have been a time where we shifted and surpassed them. And we are. We are. Thank you guys for sharing what you feel like your biggest challenge is right now. I'm very impatient with this clicker. So earlier when I was talking about the E-Myth Revisited, that is where these three mindsets come from. A lot of us were trained to be incredible caregivers, right? We were trained in our specialties, whether you're a death doula, whether you're postpartum doula focused, whether you don't know yet, right? There might be some newer doulas on here who are like, I haven't even navigated that. And that's also something we'll talk about in the 6-part series is not being afraid to lean into your niche area. For myself, Jen knows this. I've talked to her about it. Sheehan knows this. I gave myself a really hard time. I think it was 2024, maybe a little bit last year, where I'm like, I'm not at births enough. I'm not in the field where I want to be. And then I had to sit back and say, like, let's run what you've done this year. I think it was 2024. I went and spoke at Postpartum Support International Conference. In between there, a ton of local ones. I had another paid speaking gig at Black Women for Wellness LA. And so I had to lean into and accept what my niche area was. I want to stay in the field, right? And I want to stay in practice, but we have to not be afraid to lean into what feels natural to us and where we can help build the workforce and build awareness for the work that we do. So, with these three business personalities, the biggest misconception is that we all automatically can jump right into that entrepreneurial space, right? And that's just simply not true. A lot of us, especially in doula work, we're at that technician stage. And there's nothing wrong with that, especially because, as I was saying earlier, nobody sat you down, or nobody sat most of us down and said, this is where you need to start as a business owner and you need to graduate to that level. I was able to have that, as I was sharing earlier with my dad. I was stuck in technician, manager, and it felt very scary to go to that entrepreneur level. And the reason why is because, and we'll break it down in the next few slides and in this discussion, because when you're on that visionary and dreamer level, you don't have time to get into the details. So you don't really understand how it's going to happen. You're like, just make it happen. And of course, with that, you have to have a team. And so this is something that came directly from that book that I was talking about, The E-Myth Revisited. And it's an amazing, it's a quick read, and it talked about how you need to be able to channel all three of these. So the first, I've read it now about 3 times, I think. The first time I was like, oh, okay, the goal is to get to the entrepreneurial level. And then as I would go to different conferences and have discussions with other business owners who were on a larger level than me, they were like, oh no, sometimes you got to throw on that manager hat, right? Sometimes you have to throw on that manager hat so that you can train another person to be able to do that for you. Sometimes you got to go back into technician mode. And so as you can see here, as a technician, you're ideal for execution. And that's where a lot of us live at, and that's where a lot of us stay at. If you're an experienced doula, I would say, 3 to 5 years in, you should be turning that corner of very uncomfortable growth. It's going to be very uncomfortable to the manager and the entrepreneurial. In 5+ years, you should be in that entrepreneur space. Okay. So a big part of this is shifting your identity, right? We are, again, very heart driven, very community centered. And when I came into this work, I had the opposite challenge. I was like, I need to dial it back and not be so aggressive as a business owner because I needed to find the balance, right? As doulas, both of these statements are true, first of all. So let's start there. We do help families, right? But the identity shift from that technician and from that manager to entrepreneur is that you have to start saying, I run a business that helps families. A little bit of personal, I guess, transparency. I last year made the decision to expand. And I went back and forth, venting to friends and family, praying constantly. How do I do this, right? Because I already have a business where I have employees. There's a ton of overhead. Listen, child, at times it's just ghetto. I don't know a better way to say it. Because you're responsible for people's livelihoods and it just can take an emotional toll. But with the expansion of the Phenomenal Mama into Phenomenal Family, it was important because of what I just shared earlier that I'm not in the field enough, but I still want like little mini tiaras to be in the field. And so that's where the vision came for the Phenomenal Family. And where I struggled was, do I just want to help families just through me? Well, no, because like I just said, I didn't feel like I was doing it enough. And for me, that measurement or that milestone that I'm saying I wasn't doing enough was, I mean, one family every other month, and sometimes not even that. Whereas when I first set out, my goal was 3 or 4 births a month, right? On the flip side of that, I often have conversations or will see doulas say things like, "Oh, I do like 7, 8, 9 a month," and no judgment. But that's when you go from I'm helping families to I'm running a business that helps family. Are you as one individual doula truly able to help 8 to 10 families a month? Or should you be running a business where you can do that? And so that identity shift is extremely important. The second statement doesn't mean that you're less caring. It just means that you have a long-term plan of sustainability and a responsibility to the doula and the workforce community, not just here, but just overall. Okay. The video that I have, and I've been sharing it with business owners for years. And this is where us as doulas, we don't have that challenge. Guy Kawasaki is one of the founding members of the Macintosh, the Mac for the real young folks on here. Um, and he talks about how in order to make money, you have to make meaning. Now, most business owners that set out, they have the challenge of they don't know how to make meaning. They're like, I just want to do this because I want to make money. My least favorite thing that I hear people say is, I don't want to work for anybody else. And all of us that have been, in business for ourselves for a while know the hardest person to work for is yourself. There's nobody to check you. There's nobody to tell you when, the weather's not great. You do not get to lay in bed and watch reality TV. There's nobody really to, put that responsibility on you. And so the hardest person to work for is yourself. But in about how, and it's on YouTube, you literally could just type in Guy Kawasaki, make meaning, make me. And he talks about like focus on creating a product or service that genuinely improves lives or changes the world. And then the financial success will follow. I know it's really hard because I feel like this is the beginning of my business journey to believe that, right? Especially when it's coming from like millionaires. You're like, okay, well, you would say that. But what we don't realize is like a lot of these guys, they started in their garage. They started on a college campus and it was just They're trying to make meaning. Then in turn turned into money. Common mindset blocks for us are as small business owners, because like I said, it's not unique to just the doula community. Oh, I'm sorry. What did I do? Am I still sharing? Uh-uh.
Yeah, you're good. And your audio stayed. Your video is just a little bit choppy, but there wasn't an interruption for me.
Okay, but I something like glitch and then it. Oh, geez.
Now it's off.
Okay, I think I got it. Is it back?
Yeah,
But
it's
it's
just
blurry for me.
it's blurry for me too.
Oh, there we go. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. There's just a delay and I keep click, 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 click. I need to have more patience. My patience is weighing, it's weighing. Um, there we go. So some common mindset blocks that we will experience as small business owners and particularly as doulas is that I didn't get into this for the money, right? And I know that majority of us did not. And in fact, in any industry and especially this one, if you go into it for the money, that's the quickest way to burn out because as we know, it's up and down, and it's a roller coaster. So if the money's not coming in, you get frustrated, you get upset, you get burnt out, and then you're not wanting to stick around. Business feels cold or greedy. I hear this so much in our work. And again, in order for us to reach families and in order for us to have sustainability, we have to run it as a business. Running it as a hobby and something that you're just doing on the side, something that you feel like I'm never going to be able to let go of my other job is why doulas burn out. I'm not a real business owner yet, and I'll figure it out as I go. All bad things, right? Normalize it, then gently challenge it. Excuse me. With that, passion is not our business strategy. So another reason why I built and created the doula business blueprint to be the way that I did is because I could see the passion. I This is one industry that I've entered where I'm like, there's people, there's more care here than there are in others collectively. So the passion is not lacking, right? But that's what starts the work. Then we have to build an infrastructure that sustains the work, and businesses without structure only rely on our personal sacrifice, right? The most common examples that I would see when and through our marketing firm is restaurants. A lot of restaurant owners, especially the small local ones, it's, oh, my grandmother gave me all her recipes and I wanted to start a business behind that. And they're in the kitchen 24/7 instead of running the business. And those have been our most challenging clients through the marketing and outreach firm because they would rather work in the business and not on the business. Um, but passion alone can't sustain our businesses, right? So, a lot of us, and you can chime in the chat or, give a little hallelujah on the side, but a lot of us in our first year or so will approach this, and when we're exhausted or overextended, we have to shut down and your business is not rolling anymore. Then the business is being sacrificed. And like I told you all earlier, my dad used to tell me be in CEO mode and not employee mode. And I want you to go back to those three personalities: technician, manager, entrepreneur, right? Okay, so a little mini case study in this work that I've been in that I wanted to share and kind of share as an example today that I felt like was important because Jen was sharing with me that there's going to be a mixture of seasoned doulas and there's going to be a mixture of new doulas. And so I wanted to share like some common trends for us so that we understand it's not about where we are in the journey because those challenges are going to be similar but in different ways. So for a new doula, for example, high on passion, you're coming in and you're like, I'm going to kill it. I'm about to be the best doula there is in the community. I'm new to this, whether it's I dealt with something traumatic, more on that later when we talk about like messaging and marketing. I dealt with something traumatic or how I entered it, where I was like, everything went semi great for me, but I feel like everyone should have this information. Everyone should know. So you're high on passion, but obviously low on structure because none of our trainings are taking us through that. So what do? We accept low or inconsistent pay, or nothing at all, which I will say, and I don't know what's that statement when they say the views of myself are not of the co-op. So don't think that this is what the co-op would say, but personally, I don't think that you should go to births for free. That's just my personal standpoint. I think that there's always something there that somebody can do for you. And I mean that from the community standpoint. If there's another doula, and it's no shade because you're new to this, if you're experienced, it's a little bit of shade. But me as an experienced doula, I can throw 150, $300, whatever it is your way, if you're supporting me and being a backup, if you're supporting me as a doula. I just think that that's one trend that you will get stuck in for a very long time. So I personally, I don't think that you should go to births for free. Um, because the next point, you hesitate to set boundaries from that point forward. Or you'll gradually set boundaries and then it's, oh, I wasn't getting anything before. So if they're going to throw a little $100 my way, that's amazing. And it's not. And then you start to feel uncomfortable talking about money. And then you think experience will come before structure when really you're building them simultaneously. Okay. Whereas our experienced doulas, you are deep in skill, right? You've been in the field for a while, you've learned everything, trial and error. You went to a million trainings like I did, but you have some outgrown systems. And that's what I was sharing, how I needed to reassess and graduate 2024, 2025. The old systems that I had weren't working, right? So sometimes we get stuck in we're undercharging out of loyalty. We're undercharging because we're like, well, this is kind of where I started, or I'm going to assess the scene and see what everybody else is charging. Do your reverse engineering, do your numbers. And a part of this 6-part series, we're going to talk all about pricing and putting your packages together. More practical steps today. I know we're talking a lot about the mindset, but there will be some more practical. Here's how you do X. Here's how you put together your brand style guide. Here's how you put together your pricing. Um, Operating on outdated pricing or packages, feeling stretched between clients and life, and then quietly questioning how long is it going to be sustainable because we're scared to scale. So for our new doulas, you enter the field, like I said, excited, eager, deeply committed to doing things the right way. You say yes to everything. You tell yourself, once I get more experience, then I'll treat it like a business. But without structure early on, you'll learn all those bad habits that will be hard to unlearn later. Okay. For the experienced doulas, your years in, highly trusted, referrals are flowing, but we cannot be afraid to scale. Okay. You cannot tell yourself this is just how it works. And it's key to know that experience without evolution will lead to being stagnant. Just making up words, child. Okay. So with the new doula and the experienced doula, as we can see, they had the same problem. They were just at a different stage. What both of them were dealing with is that one was a lack of skill and commitment to this now being a business, and the other was a lack of intentional business mindset. One is building a foundation, the other one is standing on a foundation that needs to be updated. If that resonates with you, put it in your pocket for later, you know. Both of them need the same shift. That's the common thread. The mindset frame at any stage, the shift is the same. So again, we don't want to get stuck in, I don't do just doula work. I run a business that provides doula care. Back to that earlier comparison. The mindset with that will create the permission for you to grow, adjust, thrive, and protect your future. Okay. So when you make that shift, an entrepreneurial doula will think about value, not just hours, systems, not just support, longevity, not just that one client. And a part of this 6-part series, I do have another element where I talk about diversifying, right? Like I just mentioned, how I was able to. It's not about you just being in the room with not just because that's obviously very important, but being in the room with your client. It's not only about you being there to support them in postpartum. Maybe you're somebody that gives the best information, right? I feel that way about Shein. I'll just give her a shout out when it comes to postpartum because the culture and the mindset of the way that they trained her in the UK when her and I have conversations, I'm like, oh, it's so different. Here in the US, our culture and our mindset is get back everything to get back to work, everything to get back to what you were doing prior to having a kid. Whereas there, they're like, let's prioritize rest. Let's make sure that mom is good and healthy and make sure the whole family unit is re-regulated or regulated in a way where they can move forward. And so I always get on Shein and I'm like, I feel like you should be doing more in like the worksheet space and like just sharing more of that information. Um, because that's part of her value, right? That's part of her value proposition and alignment, not just availability. I'll share with, I'll share anything with you guys. um, I remember the first time that I missed a birth and I was devastated. I was in the parking lot and the dad texted, he was so nonchalant, child. I wanted to choke him. Uh, he was so nonchalant. He's like, baby's here and send me a little picture. They're smiling. And I'm like, I've been circling this. It was a really fast birth. I've been circling the parking lot for a while. So I just felt really defeated and felt like, like what, I felt on edge because I'm like, okay, here it comes. Like now they're going to want maybe a refund, and I had a great relationship with them. And then the opposite happened. I was very apologetic, just very, just ready, I guess, probably a little bit defensive. And they told me, they were like, you got to calm down because we felt like you prepared us so well that it felt like you were in the room, even though you were in the parking lot stressed out trying to find a parking spot. And so that's the value proposition that I feel like I offer to my families. It's not about the fact that I do 4 prenatal visits. It's because in those visits, we're making the best of every single minute that we're in there together. Um, and those are things that you'll think about as we go into niche and as we go into how are you building out your practice. Like if somebody encounters your practice name, how do they feel, right? That's a part of your intangibles of your brand element. And then alignment, not just availability. Okay. This doesn't mean that we stop caring, we just care with intention. All right, we're doing another interactive moment. I'd love for all of us to pause here and reflect. There's no right or wrong answer once again, and drop a letter in the chat which feels most true for you right now. Um, and then I'll go to the chat. This helps you understand and build awareness without fixing. So this is something that I want you, if you take a screenshot or whatever. I think we will share slides after whatever Jen wants me to do afterwards. I'm happy to, share them so you can revisit later, um, especially with the myth revisited portion. But this helps you understand where you're coming from, and it helps you understand yourself as a business owner. Let me go back. You guys are typing fast. C, B, and C, B, B, C, C, A, D. I feel confident. I know I need business structure, but I don't. I'm building, but I feel scattered. And I feel clear and supported in business. Oh, that's good. Nicole said she feels clear. Carly said she feels clear. That's really good. Would you guys mind sharing why you feel like you feel clear and supported in business in the chat, or if you want to raise your hand, come off mute? I know I need business structure, but I don't know where to start. What was something that you feel like helped you get to that point?
I am just super type A, so it was really important for me to like have a structure before diving into. I kind of did it, I think, an opposite way where like I wanted the business before I went into the work. Um,
Mhm.
and then I also worked for a few small businesses before I went in to do my own business, and so that helped too.
No,
So
that
actually,
helps tremendously.
I only have the
Mhm.
capacity to be small. And so that's also helpful that I don't care to grow at the moment
Right.
because I'm also staying at home with my kids. So that's me.
Nicole got it together, child.
I made a lot of really good connections in the community and started getting a lot of word of mouth as I was building my website, my booking, and everything kind of flowed together really nicely. Where now I have like my website does really well on Google. I worked really hard on my SEOs so that I am like top search for locally. And so I have a steady flow of inquiries. And that's
Wow.
like the best for being a sustainable business. So
That's
yay.
good. How do you feel about the scaling part, excuse me, like Nicole mentioned?
I would love to scale. I obviously have to be realistic. I just had a second baby, so I
Yeah.
have to smart
Yeah.
about that, but I want to. I want to probably in the
Yeah.
next couple of years, just looking ahead. But sidebar, but I would love to get postpartum doula shifts at the hospital. That's like I'm right on Jen on that. I know Sheehan wants it in Vegas too, so I'm like
Yeah.
that's really like what my I would love that goal to happen in the next couple of years.
I love that. That's important. You guys, again, it's important to know and be self-aware. Nicole is super self-aware, like, I'm good, just me. Because then you're not building up that frustration on an expectation that you didn't even set. Where and Carly as well is like right now, no, it's not the time. But at some point, and you already have in mind that it will be postpartum shifts in the hospital. Okay, I love it. See, it's when I click away. Oh, there we go. Jeez. What happens without the shift, right? So the cost of skipping business mindset. Last I checked, which was like a month or so ago, the doula burnout rate was still the same, like every 2 to 3 years. I will say the doulas that I met in 2018 here in Vegas, probably like 70% of them aren't around anymore, which is disheartening, right? Unless they're just doing it in the shadows and they're hiding out, but they don't have the businesses that they once had. And it's because they skipped that mindset shift. They were seasoned and skilled, like I was saying earlier about the experienced doula, but not as a business owner. They never made that shift. Um, and then the patterns creep in, right? Underpricing, boundary creep, emotional labor overload, that inconsistent income. I want everybody to make money, everybody to be able to feed their families. But burnout masked as service never works. When we internalize that personal failure, we really set ourselves up for failure. And you weren't meant to carry this work alone. So, as I shared throughout the blueprint alone, but then in this series, I'm going to make sure that I share with you like ways, like Carly was just sharing. If there's somebody that does a website and you don't do websites, I mean, little secret for me, I was in marketing and outreach for now, like I said, 14 years. I do not do websites, I don't do graphic design. But those are things that you have to be self-aware of and invest. And there, I will say, until I got in this industry, I didn't realize how much and how frequent people are willing to donate services or to just to help you out to get to that, to that point. There's also a bunch of small business resources that are free through the SBA, through SBDC, through the Women's Business Center that people don't take advantage of. And so not going at it alone is a lot easier than what we realize a lot of the time. Because this is the goal, you guys. Um, Jen mentioned in my introduction the Some New Solution Zone, which is, excuse me, an online membership platform that me and my dad created together for small business owners in general to be able to understand the marketing process and overcome these challenges. So every year we get a survey. It's been a while actually, but we see a surveys frequently from SBA, and it gave us the top 3 challenges for small business owners, and it's no different for doulas. It was, and we prettied it up into this simplicity, but it was trouble getting customers, which is loyal brand champions. It was visibility and marketing, which is brand awareness, and consistent cash flow. Consistent cash flow is how you go from that 3 year mark. Most small businesses here in the US fail within the first 3 and 5 years of their business opening. And it's because of that third one right there, the consistent cash flow. If you can achieve brand awareness, loyal brand champions, then you will have consistent cash flow. Loyal brand champions is an element of this series, and it'll be an element of the blueprint that we go deep into because it's more than a customer and it's more than somebody that you're having a direct transaction with. So that's like one of my favorite ones, of course. So, like I said, this is a six-part series. And the next one, we're going to go into your niche and your prosperity pathway. Why clarity leads to clients, how a niche supports sustainability, and then how to align your passion and your marketing and your market, your target audience as well. That's what's next in the part two of this series. Today was all about the mindset, of course. We'll talk about how to build on that foundation next. Does anybody have questions?
Tara, you mentioned like the SBDC and the SBA, and one of the things that I did to get, um, first of all, I found somebody in SEO, and I have a CPA for my taxes. I had a
Mhm.
friend once that said, "Are you good at everything you do?" And I said, "Yes, I don't do things I don't want to do. I'm not good at," which is not true. I mean, we still do things, but look, you look like a genius when you don't do the things you're not good at. But
Mhm.
and finances are always an issue. But I had somebody do my taxes because I just didn't. I wanted to make sure they were done right.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I could claim and how much you can write off. The other thing I did though was, especially with the SBDC, I asked for every single, like I looked for programs that I fit into for small business owners and I applied for scholarships. And
Yeah.
you have to actually be careful because you don't want to take a bunch of stuff that you don't need or get analysis paralysis. But I started on a shoestring budget when I started my
Yeah.
birth. Um, and so I think learning like where the gaps are, what are you not good at, and finding
Mhm.
a way to fill the gap or to learn how to do it yourself. And like I had to do that for SEO. I had no clue how to do that. My SEO is banging.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just kind of a suggestion. You mentioned a couple things, and the
Yeah.
SBDC, sorry, they have
SBDC and
great
SBA.
class. Thank you. They have great classes that you can take.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. Yeah. And thank you for saying that or bringing that back, Jen, because they are federally funded. And I know from the side of having contracts and stuff with them that if people don't attend those classes, if people don't engage, they lose money every single time. And so it's very important to engage them. And their information is amazing. They bring in industry experts that have like 20 plus years experience. I remember when my dad used to send me to go in his place if he couldn't go. They'd be side like he said he got 30 years experience. What you bringing to the table? So they're very serious about the people that they bring in to speak and to mentor. With Score, they will pair you with a
yeah,
mentor, so a business mentor. So there's just a ton of different resources. The foundational element of the zone and for the blueprint is the business core four. And I should have put that here in the very beginning because that's the foundation. And your business core four is human resources, even if it's just you have to establish something. um and that way the mindset, right? So your human resources, that's obviously, excuse me, your employee handbook, how you want to be paid. We'll go into that when we talk about like pricing structure and employee versus owner mode. Your HR is part of your core four. Marketing, your operations. So operationally, how, even if it's just you, I can't stress that enough. And your finances, like Jen said. So one area that I'm like, I don't play around with is IRS. I don't play with them three letters. So when they come asking for their coin or when they come and there's things that are changing and I've been doing this for 14 years, you guys, and I'll be honest, like the last couple of years, there were just shifts. And like Jen was saying, you hire a good CPA, but sometimes they're not catching up with, what new law just took effect or what just came. So it's best to get an expert to do it because I'm like, I don't want to be a CPA. I can obviously handle the marketing and branding side of my stuff because I have that background a little bit better than most. Um, but I don't necessarily want to do it. And so your core four can be handled by an outside agency. We've always worked with other small businesses, and I plan to and have been doing the same thing for Phenomenal Mama. So question Q&A. Here's how you can connect with me, but then also I think Jen already shared in the promotional stuff. I'm also a member, so you can reach out directly. I'm not hard to find.
As always, guys, reach out in Slack, ask questions, jump in with community. Um, every month we'll have something different in business, and so fun. But oh, the four core T, they're asking for the business